Oh, not me. I'm a peon. I'm still just writing about him and going, I don't want to get in too. So there you go. This is for all of us to learn how to get in and make the cool games. Ladies and gentlemen, if you would please give our panelists a round of applause for their time and their awesome games, which we love to play. And if you could go down the panel and introduce yourself, whichever way you like.
So, yeah, I guess the new guy gets goes first. My name is Brian Green. I'm often known by my online pseudonym Psychochild. I write a blog at psychochild.org. I'm probably best known for my work on the MMO Meridian 59. I started working on it in 1998. In 2000, I started my company and bought the rights to the game from the previous owner, 3DO. And unfortunately, last year I just shut down the company, but the game is still going. The rights were passed to the original developers. Currently, I do consulting contract work, working on a couple small projects on my own too.
Yeah, I'm just going to say, you want to get a little closer on the mic. We've got a really loud AC vent. We can't hear you.
Okay, my name's Todd Harris. I work at a company called High Res Studios. It's a Georgia-based company. We're up in Alpharetta, just about 45 minutes to the north. And High Res was basically founded by a guy, a local entrepreneur who was a big gamer, kind of a CEO by day, but big MMO player by night. He made a lot of money and wanted to build his own MMO, and I had worked with him at a couple other companies. So basically in 2005, we started with a team of about 5 folks. We quickly had to hire to get to about 50 people and released a game in February called Global Agenda, which is a shooter MMO. How many people have heard of Global Agenda? Thank you. Thanks. And so, yeah, in going through that process, definitely learned a lot around getting into the MMO industry and finding good applicants, and happy to share that with you guys this evening. So, real happy to be here.
My name is Brett Robinson. Got my start in the industry in 2001 in Fairfax, Virginia, working for Mythic Entertainment. Worked on Dark Age of Camelot there, and then later shifted over into working on Warhammer Online. I'm recently with Cartoon Network, working for their game studio on a game called Fusion Fall, as well as some other projects that we've got in the hopper, and sort of new to this area, so I'm happy to see you all.
My name is Kelly Barnes. I've been in the industry since 2005. I started off with White Wolf Publishing, and then when we merged with CCP Games out of Iceland, I'm part of CCP as well. My background includes being a freelance writer for CCP. I'm a mission and content writer for EVE Online. I've been the marketing director for White Wolf Publishing, and now I'm the corporate recruiter for CCP Games globally, so that's what I do.
Besides looking better than everybody else at the table, I might add. My name is Linda Carlson, and I manage the community department for Sony Online Entertainment. We have about 15 people on our team, 5 of which are sprinkled throughout the audience to keep you people under control. I'm also known as Brasse the Dwarf, and I hesitate to say it, but it's probably why I have this job now. And that's a long story which I can tell you later if we've got time.
Beer.
And beer. Please deliver.
Okay, ladies and gents, we're going to do a lot of audience participation in this one, obviously.
Do we sing?
No, it's like Rocky Horror. Anyway, actually that's a different panel on a different track. But if anybody has any questions, please raise your hand on how to get in. Nobody. We got one. Okay. I'm actually going to, hopefully.
Yay, no feedback.
All right. When developing your portfolio to present to these companies, a lot of times it's hard for an indie developer to develop something on the MMO scale because they don't have access to that sort of thing. What do you like to see, since they can't people who just got out of college or indie developers can't very well say, I've worked on an MMO before. What do you see in applicants, what do you want to see in applicants like that? What kind of games do you want to see them developing?
Okay, I'll take it as the recruiter person. A lot of what I do right now is I am a gateway entry, as most of the HR departments will be for MMO companies. And when we're looking for, and what we are often told by the hiring managers they want to see, when we're talking portfolio, if you are part of the programming team, if you've done the animations, if you've done modular components, if you've done character studies, renderings, when you and your team, and you can do this as a team, what I've seen the most effective tactic is put up a website with your demo reels, and then clearly delineate who was responsible for what component on the demo reels. Include with that website then the individual pages with the profile and the CV for each person who was on the team. If you have individual components, so say if somebody was doing rendering but they also want to show us their concept art, it should be on that page that's related to them on the website. My guys love website portfolios. They love online portfolios. For them it is the easiest way to go look at somebody's work, assess it, and determine if they want to investigate and talk to them further. Does that help answer your question?
Yeah, some. More specifically, I was looking, I'm an indie developer right now. I got out of college several months ago with a degree in game programming. The closest thing I can come to an MMO is I made a source mod, which is just a server-based multiplayer game. I'm specifically asking, what kind of games do you prefer to see that you think get the closest to the experience needed to jump into an MMO environment?
One, I mean, any MMO developer is not going to expect you to have made your own MMO, and probably would be, I'd probably be a strike against you if you said you're going to try to set out and do a one-man, at least AAA scale MMO. But so I think the advice on just a web link, don't minimize that, because that is the most valuable way. If I like it, I can send it to Brian and say, take a look at this, and it just makes it very easy to pass around the studio. Second, I'd say, is kind of know what position you're going after. So you mentioned art or maybe level design. Okay, game programming. So I was going to say, for art, ideally, if you're targeting a studio, find out how they're organized. Are they organized in terms of character art versus environment art, or modeling versus texture? And different studios do it different ways, but really try to target your portfolio and lead with what you think you're best at versus trying to be too much of a generalist. In terms of programming, I mean, I think the fact that if you have game code in a working mod of any kind, I don't think you're going to be discriminated against because it wasn't an MMO. If it's working code in a game, then that goes a long way. So you can actually show a demo.
That's entirely true. There's such a dearth of qualified programmers and software engineers in the industry right now that if you are looking to break into the industry, I hate to say it, but there's a glut of game design people out there, people who want to do level design or content and systems. If you want to get your foot in the door, what I've seen be successful is if you can program, and you come in and use as a programmer, there may be a chance for you to broad base from there. But if you want to be in the industry nowadays, be a programmer, you're going to have the best shot there. That's the best percentage shot right now.
Yeah, and basically that's how I got into the industry, because I was a programmer. I'm also going to say that it is entirely possible for you to do a one-man MMO, not for the sane or for the lighthearted. But then again, if you want to get into the job in the game industry, you probably don't qualify for either of those. The way I got my start actually was programming text mods. When I had my interview, I was originally working with a recruiter. She passed my resume to 3DO for some N64 programming job. But the producer on Meridian 59 went, oh, he's got MUD experience. That's probably applicable to what we can do, and that's what got me in there. I mean, if you're a programmer, do whatever you can to program. If you know web technologies, make a web-based MMO. It doesn't, I think he said perfectly. If you want to do a AAA MMO, no, that's the road to insanity and failure more than usual. But if you know web technologies, if you know JavaScript, if you know Java on the back end, start working on it. Think about how you can do it one man, and then start, when you do the interview process, start thinking about, okay, well, how would I work with a team? And if you can communicate, look, I can do this, and I know that if I work with a team, obviously somebody else will be able to do this, this, and this. I think that's going to give you a lot more mileage.
Yeah, I'd have to say that if you are an artist or a programmer, you've got an in, as long as you've got the desire and the drive. Trying to fight your way through the design process. I actually ended up coming through customer service, getting into content design, from content design into low-end system design, and then finally into game design and system design as well. It's a little bit more difficult to prove yourself in those arenas. As long as you've got the skills and a portfolio of some of the work you've done programming or in art, you should be good to go.
Yeah, at CCP, we hired a 14-year-old as a concept artist and who also did some cards on our TCG game because he had the chops. When it comes to art, particularly if you're looking at a specific company, target their aesthetic. All love to World of Warcraft, but if you bring me World of Warcraft and you want to work on internet spaceships, you don't understand the aesthetic of my company. So when you think about who you want to work for, particularly in the art portfolio side, pair it that way, prepare it that way, present it that way. Tell them that they could immediately put you on a team and start to utilize your skills. That's important.
In our company, I know that when programmers are being interviewed, what they're looking for is clean, functioning code without errors. They don't really give a damn what it is you're programming, because those same skills can be applied to any game that you might be assigned to. And further to the point of coming up through CS, people in our company, they come up through quality assurance, customer service, platform, anything. I bet some people have taken apprenticeship programs from janitorial. A lot of that is getting your foot in the door and getting to know people who might be interested in what you can do. SOE actually has an apprenticeship program. Aaron here, he works for the community department, and so he's our art guy for community. He also does our social media, but he also puts in apprenticeship hours afterwards, or sometimes before, on the EQ2 team in their art department, and he's designed all sorts of cool stuff. So it's there's lots of paths to that.
One way to get noticed that's effective for us, and I think several other companies employ it, is through the volunteer program. For example, the same weekend while we're here at DragonCon, there's a bunch of people up in Seattle at PAX. Well, we're demoing EVE Online at PAX, and we always bring in 3 or 4 people from our volunteer program to help demo the game on the show floor. And that's a way you get noticed, you show your competency of the game, you show your love of it, you get a chance to get in-depth, full-time interaction with employees of the company. They remember you afterwards. We actually chart all of our volunteers, and we keep a wiki on them about how they performed, so if they do apply for jobs with us afterwards, we can refer to their experience with us, and we can see what people said about them. So coming up through the volunteer route to get noticed is very useful to breaking into the industry.
That's another way that I got into the job that I've got now. When I first moved to the United States to be with my husband, there was this whole green card thing, right? So I couldn't take a job, so I decided to volunteer for the EQ Guide program. Not only did I learn huge amounts about customer service in the game industry, which was a real awakening for me, but it also set me up with contacts and experience that people knew who I was. So even after I moved out of that, started working in games media, I still maintained ties at SOE. And it was a wealth of experience, and yes, another reason why I'm sitting here.